Hi guys, Tim here. Welcome to my pro wrestling YouTube channel, Pile Driver Party. Today's video is going to be my predictions for NXT Takeover War Games and Survivor Series. So let's dive straight into War Games, into Takeover. I'm looking forward to this actually. The matches all appear to be quite close on paper, but we'll start off with Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan. If you haven't seen Lars Sullivan before, he's just a bit of a monster. He's been pushed as a monster. He's been in several squash matches. It was only on the last episode of NXT TV that Cassius Ohno actually went to William Regal and asked for a matchup against Lars. And because of that, and because of who Cassius Ohno is, and because of who Lars Sullivan is, and how they're pushing him, I think Lars Sullivan will go over. I think Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero, is being used to put over the newer guys, the younger guys. He could possibly even be being used as a bit of a coach, a bit of a guidance, a source of guidance for the younger guys. So yeah, the way NXT have been booking Lars Sullivan, I'd certainly think that he will go over in this one. Moving on to the women's fatal four-way, so you've got Sanity member Nikki Cross, the winner of the Mae Young Classic Kairi Sane, one half of the iconic duo Peyton Royce and Ember Moon, so they're facing off in a fatal four-way. I don't think there's any real standout winner in this. Any real? There's nobody that looks head and shoulders above the others. You would possibly be led to believe that Kairi Sane will pick up the win, but I think so soon after winning the Mae Young Classic, I don't think it will. I think they're trying to make. She's already going to be a star. We know that. I don't think they'll put the title on her straight away. What I do think will happen is so Kairi Sane had a match against Billie Kay, either the last NXT episode or the one before that. Of course, Billie Kay is the other half of the iconic duo. I think she will be at ringside. I think she will get involved and cost Kairi Sane. Of course, there's no disqualifications in the match because it's a fatal four-way. So I think Billie Kay will cost Kairi Sane, and that will lead to a feud between the two of them. If not a feud between the two of them, then certainly between Kairi Sane and the iconic duo. I don't think Ember Moon will win. I think she will probably be the NXT champion after this one. In the last episode of NXT, she had a matchup against Mercedes Martinez, who had said that she couldn't win the big one. I think that kind of storyline will carry on. And I think what will happen is Ember Moon won't win this, and she will carry on feuding with Mercedes Martinez for a couple of weeks before then moving on to challenge for the title, which I think this could go. I think it's a toss-up between the two, but I think Nikki Cross will win the title. She is massively over at the moment. If she does win, it will only increase her profile. It looks like Sanity are going to be they'll be sticking around for a while because their tag titles aren't on the line in this takeover. So I think that's the reason why Nikki Cross could could win the title. On the flip side, I could also see Peyton Royce winning it, because WWE do like their heel title holders, and if Billie Kay does get involved in the match, then I could see Billie Kay getting involved and helping Peyton Royce win, which I don't have a problem with. They are brilliant, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay. Peyton Royce has improved a lot in the ring the past 6 months or so. She looks amazing. She looks like she'd be a really good champion. Their character work between the two of them is fantastic. I think Peyton Royce would be a good shout for the title, but I do think she will come up short. I think it'll be Nikki Cross that wins the women's title that has been vacated since the last takeover, just after the last takeover, when Asuka had to give it up before she moved on to main. Okay, so heading on to the next match, we've got Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream. Possibly one of the more peculiar storylines in NXT and WWE at the moment. Aleister Black kind of portrays this kind of dark character, doesn't show a lot of emotion, isn't very flamboyant. He goes out to the ring, gets the job done, that's it. Velveteen Dream is very much, and he says himself, he's on the light side, whereas Aleister Black's on the dark. He's very flamboyant. He's kind of gimmick is a homage to Prince. Velveteen Dream. His finisher is called the Purple Rainmaker, which is his top rope elbow. And I mean, this, if you've been watching NXT TV for the past number of weeks, this feud has been actually really quite compelling. Aleister Black refuses to call him Velveteen Dream. He's called him Patrick Clark a couple of times in interviews. He says that Velveteen Dream has pretty much just been acting like a child, wanting attention. He's not prepared to give him that attention. On the flip side, Velveteen Dream has been doing everything to get his attention, from popping up during the middle of Aleister Black's entrance the one week and taking him out. Another time he stole his jacket and wore that. And there was a moment a couple of weeks back where they were both in the ring. Aleister Black hit a black mass, which Velveteen Dream got out of the way of, but I believe he kicked him in his hand, and then with the black mass, Aleister Black sat down in the middle of the ring, as he does, looking as cool as anybody could be. He looks awesome. Velveteen Dream kind of dropped down onto all fours. They were pretty close, face to face, and then just kind of slithered out of the ring backwards. And there was an audible gasp in the crowd at that moment. It took me back as well. I really couldn't. It was just so shocking that because you don't really see that. I don't know whether they kind of imply that he's maybe not bisexual, maybe not gay, but a very sexualized character, which you don't often see in WWE anymore. So that's a really interesting take. As far as the match goes, I honestly don't know who will take this. My heart says Aleister Black because he's fantastic and I want him to go up to main and win every title going. But I think because the feud has been going so well, I think that possibly there will be a no contest, maybe a double count out. Maybe the match doesn't even start. Although there aren't many matches on the card. But yeah, I think it might be a double count out. I think they'll just start brawling in the ring, possibly a DQ on either side. I could see Velveteen Dream getting DQ'd because of Aleister Black's refusal to say his name. All I know is I want this feud to keep going, and the longer it goes on for, the better, because I can only think that it will get better and better. If you haven't caught up on, or if you don't watch a lot of NXT, I would catch up on this feud because it has been fantastic. Moving on to the NXT title match between Drew McIntyre and Andrade Cien Almas. Since Zelina Vega has kind of paired up with Almas, it's kind of changed his outlook and his attitude. There was a time when he didn't really care about wins or losses and just kind of went out partying all the time. Zelina Vega showed up on NXT, has made him buck that trend up. He started to win matches. He had a great match with Johnny Gargano at the last Takeover. And normally I would give him a fighting chance against McIntyre, but McIntyre is an absolute monster. He's a 6'6" apparently. I'm not sure how big or how tall Cien Almas is, but Drew McIntyre just looks like a giant, and I'm not sure what it is, but he's just massive. He's massive, and so with that kind of size difference between the two, I think Almas will put up a good fight. He's got, to be fair to him, he's got probably one of the best chops in the business. They sound absolutely brutal, and I don't envy anybody being on the receiving end of those, but I think McIntyre will win after a good showing from Almas. I also can't believe that they would put the belt on McIntyre only to have him lose it at the next Takeover. Okay, so moving on to the War Games match. So there's the NXT Tag Champions Sanity versus the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong, and versus the Undisputed Era. So I've not seen a War Games match before, so I'm really interested to see it. Those of you who don't know what it is, it's two wrestling rings next to each other with I don't know if it's a cage or a kind of like a cell over the top of the two of them, and from what I can gather, so one member of each team starts in the ring or rings, and then after a certain period of time, another person from, I don't know if it's another person from each team or another person from one team goes in until all 9 are in there. I don't know if it's an elimination match. I don't think so. But I think it's it's just going to be really weird to watch. I think it's going to be on the entertaining side of crazy. And so I think, predictions wise, I think Undisputed Era will go over. A lot of people think that Roderick Strong is going to turn on the Authors of Pain, which, I mean, that would probably seem most likely. That's the story arc they've been going with Roderick Strong and Undisputed Era. I think that might be a bit too soon, though. What I do see happening is Donovan Dijak, who has moved. He's been signed to NXT from Ring of Honor, but hasn't been seen yet. They like to do these big reveals at takeovers, so I could see that happening. I don't know how we'd get involved if they're in a cell, but I can certainly see something happening along those lines where they end up getting the numbers advantage and going over. I think they can drag the Roderick Strong aligning with Undisputed Era storyline out a little bit longer, and then they will create some kind of super faction with the 5 of them. But I can't see that happening just yet. I think it will just be Donovan Dijak joining Undisputed Era for the time being. Okay, moving on to Survivor Series. So we'll start off with the pre-show or kick-off show or whatever you want to call it. Enzo Amore versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight title. So bearing in mind this is the only match where there's a title on the line for Survivor Series. I don't know if anybody's actually that bothered. Kalisto's alright in the ring. I do like his Salida del Sol. Enzo has improved somewhat, but he's still the worst wrestler on the 205 Live roster. And his promos aren't even that good. If you think about it properly, Enzo's promos are a bit rubbish. The good thing about Enzo at the moment, the one good thing about him is his kind of partnership with Drew Gulak, who is fantastic. If you've seen a couple of their promos, Enzo's got his catchphrases, how you doing, and spelling out SAWFT. But when Drew Gulak does them both, he actually spells out soft properly, so SOFT, and he turns around and says, how are you doing? So he's very quite eloquent with how he says it, which is fantastic. I can honestly see Drew Gulak turning face at some point and feuding with Enzo, because I think that's probably where they should go after this. If Enzo goes over, doesn't really feud with anyone for a bit, just starts running his mouth for a bit, running down Gulak. Gulak carries on getting over with the crowd. I think that's the best way to go. So Enzo retains his title. Moving on to the tag match. So the Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Usos. With the rest of the matches, it's totally the same, in that apart from one, maybe two, in that they're very quite level, the competitors. I don't think there's much between any of them in any of the matches, apart from the two, and I'll move on to those later. But with the Usos and the Bar, I think SmackDown will pick up this win. I think the Usos will win. They've been doing fantastic recently, since they turned heel, and now seem to have kind of become tweeners. They've improved a lot on the mic. I wouldn't say improved in the ring, but the matches they've been putting on with the New Day over the past 6 months or so, whenever they've faced off on a pay-per-view or on SmackDown TV, they've put on amazing matches. They've put on the match of the night. What I like about Sheamus and Cesaro is they seem to do something new with each match. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the two kind of teams face off against each other, how they kind of meld together, how they kind of weld together, how they work together. I think it could be a really exciting match. It could possibly be the match of the night, maybe second best in terms of quality, behind Shield and New Day. Okay, so that would be, so with the Usos going over, that's SmackDown's first win for the night, so they're one up. Next, I think we will probably have the Women's Survivor Series match. I can't see anything other than a Raw win. On the SmackDown side, you've got team captain Becky Lynch, who's fantastic and really over. Natalya, who although she's only just dropped the women's title over on SmackDown, and she's a great wrestler, I don't think she's thought of as kind of a main event player. Naomi, who again was the SmackDown Women's Champion before Natalya. I'm not that keen on Naomi, if I'm honest. She looks good. I don't think her promos are great. They're a bit ghetto hood rat kind of style, which really isn't very entertaining for me. Carmella, who is Miss Money in the Bank, she's on the up and up. Of course, her partnership with James Ellsworth has just ended after he's been released. So I think this might be the catalyst for her being pushed. I will get back to Carmella later. Tamina she's meant to be kind of this like dominant machine on SmackDown, but isn't really. She never really seems to get many wins. So I can't really see anything great happening with her. She'll probably be the first person to be pinned, to be honest. Then on the Raw team, you've got Bayley and Sasha Banks, Asuka, Nia Jax, and team captain Alicia Fox. As I said with, did I say Tamina? Yeah. As with Tamina probably picking up the first pin, or being on the receiving end of the first pin for the SmackDown team, I think Alicia Fox will probably be the first person to be pinned on the Raw team. I think what they'll do is have some kind of match where Nia Jax is taken out quite early by a number of the SmackDown roster. Raw then lose a couple of people in quick succession. Then Asuka manages to get through 2 or 3 of the women and pick up the win for Raw, making it 1-1 for the night between the two. Because they want to make Asuka look strong. She came in with a big fanfare. She's undefeated in 49, 50, 51 matches. I think they will try and carry on that momentum going into Royal Rumble season and WrestleMania season, if I'm honest. Okay, moving on to, where should we move on to? Shield versus the New Day. Both fantastic trios, two of the most over stables in recent history. Two face teams. So it would normally be tough to call, but because the Shield have only just come back, I think it'll be a Shield win. It would make sense because all 3 members of the Shield have been the top champion in the company in the past 2 years. So I can't see anything other than a Shield win. On the last episode of Raw, the Shield looked fantastic in their match against The Bar and Miz. New Day have been fantastic for the past God knows how long, but especially the matches against the Usos have been second to none. As I said earlier, they've generally been match of the night whenever they've fought. But yeah, I think Shield I think Shield will win, and we'll put Raw 2-1 up for the night. Let's see. Next, the Women's Championship match. So, I've got quite a few ideas for this match, how it could go. They will probably go with the most obvious, but so you've got Charlotte on SmackDown and Alexa Bliss on Raw. A couple of ways this could go. I think Charlotte will win. I can't see why they wouldn't. I can't see why they'd put the belt on Charlotte on Tuesday, on the last episode of SmackDown, to then have a lose against Alexa Bliss. But saying that, knowing WWE, they like to do strange things. But yeah, I just can't see Alexa winning. What I can see happening though is Carmella cashing. The interesting thing would be whether she cashed in on Charlotte or Alexa Bliss. I don't know if there's any kind of stipulation. What I could see her doing is coming in after the match, laying them both out, trying to pin the one, can't, ends up pinning the other. That would be a really interesting thing to do if it means that Carmella does cash in on Alexa Bliss, becomes a Raw champion, although I don't know why she'd want to be Raw champion with Asuka on Raw. I think either way, whichever champion Carmella cashes in on, so if she cashes in on Charlotte, she obviously stays on SmackDown. I think when Paige finally does appear, she was meant to appear on Raw this Monday but didn't, because she got in trouble for taking a selfie apparently and posting it on Instagram with Alicia Fox. If she does cash in on Alexa Bliss, I think Alexa will then move to SmackDown and Paige will. I think Paige will probably stay on Raw. I was thinking that she could join SmackDown. Actually, no. Let's go with that. So if Carmella cashes in on Alexa Bliss, Alexa and Paige both go to SmackDown. If she cashes in on Charlotte, Paige debuts on Raw. But I think either way, Charlotte wins, and that takes it to 2-2 for the night between the two brands. So Raw Women's win and the Shield win for Raw. Charlotte wins and the Usos win for SmackDown. Move on to Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Can't see anything other than a Brock win. I think with the Shield match and the Shield's win, I think after that Brock's win is probably the lock of the night. The only thing I hope for is that they put on a match as good as they can. AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not top 3 then top 5. He makes anyone look good. Jinder Mahal's best match we've seen as champion was against AJ Styles when he actually lost. But I think there might be. I think there might be some kind of interference from Jinder, not just to affect AJ, but I think he might try and get involved with Brock as well, just because of the kind of war of words they had before he lost the title to AJ, which would make things interesting. It would also give us the opportunity to see Brock German suplex both Singh brothers, and also F5 both Singh brothers at the same time. Who wouldn't want to see that? That'd be fantastic. I hope Brock turns up mentally and decides to put on a good show, because with AJ, he can. They can put on a really good match between the two of them. But I think at the end of the day, the Universal Champion, they want to keep Brock strong for the WrestleMania match he's inevitably going to have with Roman Reigns. So I think Brock will go over. Okay, and then second last match of the night is kind of like the mid-card championship match. The Miz versus Baron Corbin. I would like to see Baron Corbin win, but I think Miz will win with the help of the Miztourage now that Bo Dallas is back and Curtis Axel's been hanging around. I know he gets a lot of kind of not bad press. Well, yeah, bad press actually. Baron Corbin, I know he gets slated for not being very good on the mic. He's been in trouble a couple of times because of his social media. I actually quite like Baron Corbin. I think he's quite good in the ring. I think he's better in the ring than people let on or would like to admit. I don't think he's far behind Miz in the ring. The Miz has improved recently as well, but I think it'll be a close contest, but I think the Miztourage will help the Miz win. Baron Corbin does often get distracted in his matches, and he likes to lose to roll-ups for some reason. He gets rolled up quite a lot for shock losses. So I could see something like that happening, or the Miztourage getting involved. He ends up getting rolled up by the Miz. Another Raw win, so Raw are 4-2 up on the wins, and then that will bring us on to the Men's Survivor Series match. Now, previously, Stephanie McMahon had come out and said that if Raw didn't win, then Kurt Angle would lose his job. But what I don't know is, does she mean that if Raw lose the men's match, or if they lose the pay-per-view overall? Because Raw could lose the men's Survivor Series match, but still have more wins than SmackDown on the night, which would surely mean that Raw have won. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe she just purely meant if you lose the men's Survivor Series match, then you're fired. So we'll see. The thing, this match is, like I said, with the War Games match, I think this is just going to be crazily entertaining. There's not going to be much structure to it. I think it's just going to be a little bit mental, a little bit balmy. There are so many factors going into this match. Obviously, you've got Super Cena showing up for SmackDown. You've got not Roman Reigns. He's not in it. We all thought he was going to be, but he's not. Braun Strowman, who destroys everything in his path. So, on paper, Raw should destroy SmackDown. They've got Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, Triple H, Finn Balor. SmackDown doesn't look as impressive when you look at it, but especially because of their SmackDown exploits, Nakamura and Bobby Roode haven't been utilised as well as they could have been on SmackDown. Shane McMahon just looks like he shouldn't be in the ring, and that's because he shouldn't be in the ring. I don't think although his match against Kevin Owens at Hell in a Cell was entertaining, I think it showed how lacking Shane is in the ring. And then of course you got Cena and who's the fifth member? Randy Orton, who he's just a bit boring, isn't he, Randy Orton? So on paper, Raw should win, and especially if you think that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn could cost SmackDown. On the flip side, to kind of manipulate it, they could interfere and help them win, possibly, just to try and get in Shane's head a bit. On the Raw side, I mean, Finn and Joe a couple of weeks back had a match against each other that was kind of made a no contest, and they carried on brawling afterwards. And then last week they actually tagged together, but they certainly weren't, although they were on the same page, they certainly didn't want to be tagging with each other, to the point where as soon as Finn picked up the win against the club, Gallows and Anderson, Joe just walked off, so which was actually a pretty good visual. I quite liked that. But with Jason Jordan being kicked off the team, I think he could come back and cost Raw. I also think, after what happened on Monday Night Raw this past week, where Strowman power slammed Kane through the ring, I think Kane might appear and take out Strowman, because that carries that feud on. Then they can go on to have a match at a pay-per-view, where Strowman finally defeats Kane, puts him to bed, possibly retires him if he's going for this Mayor campaign. And I think that'd be a good way for Kane to go out, going out to Braun Strowman on a pay-per-view, maybe the Royal Rumble, maybe carry it through to WrestleMania. A lot of people probably wouldn't want to see that, but I think that'd be a good way for Kane to go out if he went out at WrestleMania against Strowman, because we don't know who Strowman's going to face unless he moves on to face The Miz for the IC title. The only problem is, if Braun won the IC title, no one would ever get it off him. That would be a bit of a dilemma for WWE. So what I will say is, I think SmackDown win this, which might sound quite surprising, but Angle keeps his job because Raw won most of the matches on the night. So Raw won 4-3, but lose the men's match. Raw could also implode. Finn and Samoa Joe could, one could turn on the other. Triple H could turn on Kurt Angle. They could get into a fight between themselves. So yeah, I think SmackDown seems to be on the same page more, and because they have got John Cena, he could certainly be kind of the one person on the SmackDown team to pin Braun Strowman. With Randy Orton, you've always got the RKO out of nowhere. It would be quite interesting to see him pin Triple H. It would be nice to see Braun destroy Shane quite early on, like 12 power slams. That'd be fantastic. Hopefully one through a table, even better. But I think at the end of the day, I think SmackDown will win that match. That's all for my predictions. One thing I would like to say is, I haven't been doing this very long, as you can probably tell by the bad lighting, the bad picture quality, and possibly the content that's not as good as I would like it to be at the moment. What I would like, any kind of comments, leave any kind of advice. If you've got any advice, I'm more than welcome to. I'd love to take it on board. If I can improve the quality of my videos, then the better stuff that I put out, the more likely you're going to watch it. If you let me know what you do like, let me know what you don't like in the comments. You can also find me at Pile Driver Party on Twitter and on Facebook. The Facebook page is an open page. It's a public page, I believe. If you know anyone that is into wrestling, give it a like, give it a share, give them a heads up. I basically just want this to be fun for everyone. To be honest, I want people to enjoy it. I want to enjoy doing it. So any kind of advice or comments are more than welcome. Because I just want to make this better for everyone. That being said, thank you for watching. I hope to maybe get a kind of reactions video, thoughts video up in the week at some point following the pay-per-views, and also give a couple of my other videos a watch if you've liked this one. Thank you. Bye guys. See you later.